Once a least likely destination for a New York-style bakery and coffee palace in the 1880s was Ballarat, Victoria. But that's exactly what master baker John Reid created on his Lydiard Street premises during the height of the gold rush.
John Reid was an illegitimate son of a German nobleman, and he was cast out by his family. Went to New York, learnt the baking trade, and then came to Ballarat and ran his New York bakery, and then built this fantastic, amazing, opulent coffee palace.
It was the days when the temperance movement was pushing, and we had big coffee palaces in the major cities, and Ballarat was without one, so he felt this was time. So he engaged architects, and they engaged builders and built Reids Coffee Palace in two sections, one in 86, the south section, and the north section in 88.
A savvy businessman, John Reid knew the prime position next to the newly established Ballarat railway station would deliver him customers right to his door.
Hadn't been long built when there was a fire in the kitchen, and that the whole new section was destroyed. The brick facade came crashing down in Lydiard Street, narrowly missing one lady, I believe. And John Reid himself, in underwear, had to jump for his life, and his son had to jump and landed on the balcony, which wouldn't have been the balcony we know.
Centuries of use and wear and tear later, and the prominently positioned Reids is now a guest house run by the Uniting Church.
Yeah, so the building has always been run as accommodation, and it was being run as accommodation when Uniting took it over. It had had some additions to it and some painting done and some interesting wallpapers, so a lot of that sort of heritage value had, I suppose, been covered up over the years. And there was quite a bit of repair work that needed to be undertaken. In 2017, we were lucky enough to be awarded $200,000 through the Living Heritage Grants Program and Heritage Victoria and the City of Ballarat. That was really for the restoration work of the outside of the building. The parapet was in quite poor condition and deteriorating more and more every day. We were then fortunate enough to have another additional amount of funding, which then allowed us to carry out more works on the facade and then come internally and do a lot of the foyer and reveal what's now here today.
The old coffee palace required a lot of TLC. Fortuitously, the right tradespeople were available and local.
Most Victorian houses in Ballarat are highly decorated. Originally, underneath, all the woodwork's grained, often stenciling, and this place was originally wallpapered though, so this is a second decoration. The ceiling is much later than the stenciling, so I imagine the top of it was all stenciled originally, not muralled. So at some stage, there was a fire in here, and at some stage they had to redo it all. There
was a lot of the artwork that we really weren't sure how it was going to turn out. Many of the scenes that are in the frieze on the top floor and first floor were just scenes with wallpaper around them. It wasn't until we started peeling back that wallpaper that it revealed the rest of the pattern and intricate painting throughout the whole building. So it was really exciting to find all those different paintings and scenes and shields and flowers and all that sort of stuff. It's great.
Well, the fellow I reckon painted all this used to be a set painter at Her Majesty's. He was a debater too, like an orator, and his father owned the building a couple down.
It wasn't an easy job at all.
Well, part of Rod's brief was to remove all the paint from the brickwork externally, so that all that had to come off, all the paint and around the front.
So try and get the bricks back to how they would have been built in the first place. Spent a lot of time on it. Used a chemical method there, so it's chemically treated, captured, pressure cleaned off, treated probably 3 or 4 times to get it back to the raw brick.
Andrew Thorne, a well-respected conservator, researched the materials that had been used in the original construction. His team painstakingly worked section by section on the murals to help the painter replicate what once was there.
So there were 3 people here with them, and they'd sit in a spot and do 10 square centimetres a day.
The state of the building, obviously prior to the works, it was quite run down and it was tired. You know, it was a 100-odd-year-old building, and particularly for some of our guests that are going through difficult times and are probably not in the brightest space themselves, to be living in that environment would only add to the troubles that they're going through. So to have a bright open space with fantastic decorations and painting really lifts the spirit, I believe.
Yeah, you just take a lot of pride in this sort of work. To see might be 100 years, 150-year-old, and then to get them up to a current day good standard's awesome. So yeah, it's a challenge.
It's history, it's there, so to be able to uncover it and show it, it's a fantastic thing, I think.
I think John Reid would be quite happy with that outcome and know that his building is really serving a purpose within the community.